what makes a weight division stand out amongst all inside the octagon. Is it just the formidable fighters involved, or is it just the matchups that can be thrown out? Is it the spectacular skills of the fighters? Is it their appeal, the X factors, or is it the legends along with the up-and-coming talents fighting in it? Well, what if I say we have all of that in one weight division? With marquee fights to offer, top contenders consistently putting on fight of the nights, young fighters ready to steamroll the legends, and veterans clinging with a paper-thin margin. This is the lightweight division, in case you haven't recognized it yet.
I think lightweight division is very tough. It's very tough. If you want to touch somebody there, you touch the very strong fighter. He have everything, striking, wrestling, and all. Top 50 now is so...
Let's explore the lightweight division in depth and find out what makes it the most stacked and the toughest to break into. But before that, we at Sportskeeda MMA would like to welcome you to our channel. You come, you watch, and you subscribe because we've got tons of detailed analysis on MMA all week for you. So sit back and enjoy the MMA action along with Sportskeeda MMA. The 155-pound division needs absolutely no introduction. From a pure quality standpoint, it has been at the top of the food chain for nearly a decade. Let me first give you a brief history of the division. At the start of the 2010s, we saw Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn, and Benson Henderson hold the belt. Later, it was passed around from Anthony Pettis to RDA to Eddie Alvarez. Then came McMania, the era of the Notorious One. He won the belt and then went off into the limelight of boxing against Floyd Mayweather. In his absence, the division was stuck in the mud. Meanwhile, we had Tony Ferguson as the interim champ, who was later stripped of the title at UFC 223. 223 was when the Eagle era began. Khabib went on to have 3 successful defenses and later retired from the sport.
It was my last fight, and no way I'm gonna come here without my father.
Then came the Do Bronx era with Charles Oliveira winning the title and defending it once. Later, he lost the belt on the weight scale. For the last 2 years, the lightweight division has been ruled over by Islam Makhachev, who has 2 successful title defenses back-to-back against former featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski. Islam is an elite fighter, and it looks like he could become the most dominant champion the division has seen since the legendary Khabib Nurmagomedov himself. Well, the majority of Charles fans will say the champ has a name, and his name is Charles Oliveira. But the Brazilian doesn't have any titles now and recently lost the #1 contender bout to Arman Tsarukyan.
Well, this is kind of crazy that, it was such a feel-good story because Charles Oliveira was not reliable. He was losing fights that he shouldn't have lost. He was missing weight. He was that guy. You're like, I'm not quite sure if Charles Oliveira is that guy.
Well, it's been all ups and downs for the Brazilian ever since losing that strap. Now let's talk about the #1 contender, Arman Tsarukyan. Interestingly, he has a bone to pick with the current champ. His debut inside the UFC came against the Russian. Only a few have taken him into deep waters with a very close fight. He has immense strength coupled with an outstanding grappling game. And again, he's considered to be the toughest test yet for the reigning champ. Then we have the 2 perennial contenders, Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. Justin Gaethje has been named the highlight for a reason. The beating that El Kakoi took from him was career-altering. He never came back from it and was left on a downward spiral after that.
And Justin Gaethje's a monster. Justin Gaethje is a monster. He's a monster. He's a terrifying individual.
Gaethje has numerous finishes over top lightweight fighters and even added a head kick to his arsenal against Dustin Poirier. It was because of the highlight reel knockouts against Gaethje that prominent foes like Donald Cerrone, Edson Barbosa, and Michael Johnson, all top-class lightweights themselves, had to change their weight classes. Let me tell you the crazy part of this. Gaethje's roots in the combat world started with him being an NCAA Division I wrestler in college. Isn't that incredible? Coming in at number 4 is the next in line for the title at UFC 302, Dustin Poirier, a southpaw who's got the best boxing skills inside the division. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Add this to his devastating leg kicks and he looks like the complete package. And he was the only one ever to knock Conor out on his feet.
Dustin's got that serious power.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Dustin can hurt you.
Sadly, despite gaining the interim belt, the Diamond has lost both of his title shots, and this might be the last one if he loses. Outside of the top 4, the division is also home to some of the most resolute fighters. We've got Mateusz Gamrot, Beneil Dariush, and Rafael Fiziev. Beneil Dariush has a BJJ heavy style coupled with brute power that's made him topple many contenders inside the octagon. The Polish native Gamrot has a win over the number 1 contender Starukian. He's a grappling specialist with decent striking. Fiziev, on the other hand, is a very crafty striker. He has a stand and bang philosophy. Unfortunately, he's currently on a 2-fight skid. Then comes Chandler, the one who brought back the Mystic Mac from his long hiatus.
I got one dude on my mind. Conor McGregor, you gotta come back.
After a long career in Bellator, he came to the UFC and made an instant impact by knocking out the tough Dan Hooker. It's been a roller coaster ride ever since, but one thing's for sure, he's one of the most entertaining fighters in the lightweight division. What makes Chandler's track record astonishing is that he's not even a striker at his roots. He got his start on the wrestling mats and got so confident on the feet that we rarely see his takedowns. Pausing for just a bit, fight fan, we're taking you through all the rumblings inside of combat sports, so why don't you get along and get a taste of Sportskeeda MMA? Like, share, and subscribe. One of the feel-good factors of last year inside 155 pounds is Money Moicano, who came up a weight class and is on a 3-fight winning streak and currently ranked at number 10 in the division.
Money. Moicano wants money. Congrats.
Above him is the former featherweight champ Max Blessed Holloway, who came into the 155-pound rankings after his sensational knockout of Justin Gaethje. His eyes set on Topuria for a title fight, but don't count him out. He might just go on a run inside 155 pounds or even defend his BMF title against another lightweight. Take a look at the top 15. The last 5 of them are Dan Hooker, Jalen Turner, Benoit Saint-Denis, RDA, and Bobby Green. Talk to me once, tell me about any UFC division that has such popular fighters languishing at the bottom of the pyramid. Outside of the rankings, we have the legends of the game, the likes of Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor, etc. The more I talk about El Kakoi, the more it hurts. He was the type of guy to do everything, but he was. Then comes the biggest star attraction of them all. They're often imitated but never duplicated, the notorious Conor McGregor.
Give us your thoughts. Surprise, surprise. The king is back.
Conor has transcended the sport. He's now a pop icon, a box office attraction. Not only within the combat sports world, but he's a serial entrepreneur with diverse businesses. Greatness follows wherever Mystic Mac goes. He once said,
The double champ he wants.
well, he ain't no champ at the moment, but he definitely has the pull of one. He takes fights in whichever weight category he wants, but ultimately he knows lightweight is his best shot for a title. There are numerous wildcards in the division. Liverpool's own Paddy Pimblett. He's a definite draw, at least in the British Isles. Then comes the curious case of the featherweight champions. Whoever reigns supreme at 145 pounds gets the itch to go up and challenge the lightweight champion. Volk went up and got a decision loss and then got brutally finished in the second outing by Islam. Topuria is inclined to take the same route but with a different outlook on the fight result. All of them try to do what Conor did at UFC 205, become a double champ. As they rightly say, imitation is the best form of flattery. Many ranked contenders now fighting at either 170 or 145 pounds are fighters who couldn't establish themselves in the lightweight division, like Gilbert Burns. He's a former title contender at 170, but he never established himself at 155 and was brutally KO'd by Hooker. Another one is Edson Barbosa. He tested his mettle against the best at 155 pounds, but he kept coming up short against the likes of Gaethje, Khabib, Kevin Lee, etc. This amount of marquee matchups, flair, and charisma is nowhere to be seen in any weight division inside of the UFC. You just don't see it in the other divisions apart from the top 3 or 4 fighters, but lightweight has a plethora of contenders that can be considered title-worthy within the next 2 or 3 fights. It's created some of the sport's biggest stars. Today, it's a division filled with talent with a diverse set of skills. The champion Islam is on an incredible winning streak and seems to be getting better. The top-ranked lightweight fighters are all threatening, such as Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and Arman Tsarukyan. The UFC lightweight division is unanimously claimed to be the most stacked, the toughest division to crack in the organization. 155 has been inflated by the number of legit contenders on the rise. The division has always been good, but it's arguably never been so good. The whole division is too damn competitive at the moment. That's what keeps it so interesting. And we still have exciting times ahead for those 155-pounders in 2024 and beyond. So what are your thoughts on this? Is lightweight the most stacked division in all of the UFC? Is it the toughest nut to crack? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and I'll see you in the next video. But before I leave, make sure to subscribe to Sportskeeda MMA, and don't forget to smash that like button.